Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel in Malaysia. There's been a lot of buzz online on the rumored figures for MOTU Origins Wave 9, which the very excellent YouTube channel Toy Habits broke the news on yesterday. The news was shared based on what I understand to be a confirmed source on their part, as they have stated on their channel. I'll have the link to their video in my description box in case there's any of you who didn't catch it as of yet. One of the most anticipated figures from this wave is rumored to be the wicked Whiplash. Now, this is one figure in which I think we can expect to see a substantial revision over his original vintage figure. The vintage Whiplash figure has always been one of those figures that I personally felt had never really lived up to his full potential. For one thing, I always felt that his original face sculpt looked pretty lame. He looks really sad and depressed here, kinda like he just got out of a 3-year-old relationship. Just like we saw with Clawful, it's kind of a safe bet that they're going to rework his entire mouth design, maybe have it protruding outwards a bit more, and just have his teeth look a whole lot more imposing and intimidating. The interesting thing about Whiplash is that he doesn't have any body armor on. His reptilian details are all on his main body. However, I don't really think they're going to do any changes here to bulk him up or anything like that, because he essentially shares the same chest as that of Buzz-Off. I can say that the spear accessory that he comes with is certainly going to be made of much harder plastic, because the original one was just too bendy, so this is going to be a welcome change. The one area that I'm most curious about is the tail. I've always been disappointed with the original tail section of the vintage Whiplash. Now he has this tail thrashing action, as you see here, that's worked into the Power Punch gimmick, but the tail is made up of very soft and flimsy like rubbery material. It's the kind of stuff that makes him look like a knockoff toy. Now what's worse is that the underside of the tail is hollow, so it kind of feels incomplete. So what I really want to see is what they're going to do here, and if they're going to make the tail more articulated. Maybe it's going to be a bendy piece, maybe there's a spring attack action, but I'm definitely not expecting this rubber blanket type thing to still be going on. The 2002 Whiplash figure was a massive improvement. In many ways, it's a completely different figure altogether. Now, for one thing, they made him look really threatening and deadly this time around, and they also bulked up his body. Yeah. He got an upgrade as well in terms of accessories, and this massive double-bladed weapon that he's carrying around looks like it could do some serious damage. They also didn't forget to make the figure fun. It comes with a button-activated tail striking and slashing action. In many ways, this thing works a whole lot better than the vintage original. Then the classics version of Whiplash took it to the limit one more time. I don't have this one, but in my opinion, it's probably the best. They updated the original vintage design, but at the same time included the extra hit and weapon of the 2002 version so that you could have two display options. Just freaking amazing. This is what I had hoped Origins could have done for Whiplash if they had decided to make him a deluxe. They would have been able to include the extra hit and weapon as they do with all of the deluxe figures, and also covered the cost of the new tooling for a tail section and working in an action feature. Now, doesn't that just seem like the ultimate Whiplash figure? The next figure for Wave 9 that was rumored to be confirmed is the mini-comic Trapjaw figure. Now, this is one of the confirmations that I probably felt the least excited about. It seems like this mini-comic Trapjaw has been floating out there for ages. Now, this figure was supposed to be included with Wave 8 of MOTU Origins, and then it kind of got knocked around between Sunman and the Hot Trooper, I think. But we already saw images of this thing like since September of last year during the PowerCon event. And now I'm hearing that it's finally coming out. I'm just like, get it over with. Now, these mini comic figures don't really do much for me, as they are mainly just basic repaints and there aren't any extra tooling or added elements thrown into the figure. In most cases, the figures are not even entirely true to their mini comic appearance. Now, at the same time, for a character as popular as Trapjaw, I do realize that this is a second opportunity for most people to get him again, as his initial appearance in Wave 2 from like 2020. Now, that figure just disappeared off retail shelves in a blink of an eye, and he's almost never surfaced again. That's kind of like what happened with the 2002 figures. The original version of Trapjaw never really appeared in retail stores here, and I ended up getting the mini comic variant eventually, and that became my go-to figure for the 2002 range. So, I guess for a lot of people, this figure probably is something that they're waiting for? Let me know in the comments. For me though, I'll just accept the figure as part of the set, but it's one of those figures that I'll probably just keep sealed on card. Yeah, unless you guys demand that I open him up and get him reviewed. Okay, unless you guys demand for the review, then I'll do it. By the way, this image here from the display from BioCon last year, I like how Trapjaw is posed as though he's stalking Buzzov, all right, like he's advancing towards him. Yeah, I'm no big surprise that I'm not really a fan of Buzzov. I'm not a fan of the character at all. And it's kind of great to see how, yeah, he's getting stalked here from Trapjaw, and probably, Trapjaw is going to get the better of him. So, yeah, get him, Trapjaw, get him, crush him. Crush him! The next figure that's rumored to turn up in Wave 9 is none other than the regal King Randor. Now, King Randor is one of the hardest to get figures from the original vintage series. He kind of turned up towards the end of the line, and yeah, it's been basically impossible to find in eBay lots and stuff like that, at least complete with all his accessories. I got him as part of a lot from a couple of years ago, way before this current worldwide obsession with Masters of the Universe happened. Yeah, so I kind of got him in a lot, but I was pretty lucky at that. And now it seems that he's getting re-released in Origins and is once again available for a lot of people to own. Now, naturally, while I do acknowledge Randor's importance to the line, I'm not too thrilled that he's here because he's more or less a basic human figure. And I'm into MOTU for the monsters, all right? I'm in there for the humanoid monsters. However, Randor, we've pretty much seen most of him prior to this because he shares the same body armor as Jitsu from Wave 7. And so his updated version for Origins Wave 9 should be along the same lines as well. Now, where his face portrait is concerned, I suppose that they'll probably give us a revised sculpt and maybe also give us a brand new crown, perhaps one that has got a little bit more detail to it. But yeah, they'll probably give us an all-new face sculpt and probably make Randor here look even more of a distinguished ladies' man. The original Randor also came with a real cloth cape. Okay, this is pretty impressive. This is probably like the same cloth material that was used on the dining table when you were a kid. But I think that for Origins, they're probably going to revise this to a much more harder, sort of like PVC-like material, like the kind that we saw with Prince Keldor or even Skaglow. Now, Randor's one accessory piece with the vintage figure was the Royal Staff of Eternia. Yeah, it was like this long staff accessory that kind of looked like a spear. At one point, I thought it was the same spear that Whiplash had, but they're actually different, if I'm not mistaken. However, it's still a really boring piece, and I'm hoping that the new King Randor that we're getting with Origins Wave 9 comes with maybe a sword, like I think his Classics figure had him with a sword. But who am I kidding? We both know that's not going to happen. By the way, I think I mentioned this in my full review of the vintage King Randor figure, the one that I did last year that's on the channel. If you haven't checked it out, please do so right now. But yeah, I think I mentioned that this figure was actually made in Malaysia right there in 1987. So I feel kind of proud when I look at this thing. Okay, yeah, it's something that was made right here where I live. But the interesting thing is that Randor is part of this really rare 1987 wave of figures. Prior to this, it was impossible for fans to own vintage-style versions of characters such as Ninja, Skaglow, Terraclaw Skeletor, Clamchamp, Flying Fist He-Man, and the Sorcerers. But in just a short while, Origins has made this all possible. I find it really amazing that they've actually worked their way through most of that really impossible to get wave from 1987. And in fact, we actually only left with a couple more characters to go, such as Rio Blast and Extender. Okay, so when can we get these guys? In fact, can we just get these guys instead of more bullshit variants? Now, the last figure that's rumored to make an appearance in MOTU Origins Wave 9 is something of a shocker. He's an import from the Rulers of the Sun line, the numerical genius, Digitino. Now, the image here is that of the original 1985 Digitino figure, and I gotta say, taking a good look at him here, he kind of looks like a pretty clean-cut member of an 80s boy band. Now, of course, they did put up the images online a couple of weeks ago of the updated Origin-styled Digitino figure, And I gotta say that I'm a bit surprised if he's actually going to be making the cut for Wave 9, although at this point it is still a rumor as I understand it. But if he is in that particular wave, it is a bit surprising because I thought originally, based on the press release that went out, that he was supposed to be part of a special Rulers of the Sun set. Based on the direction of the press release statement that went out, the Rulers of the Sunset was championing the fact that the characters were made out of a black character, a Latino, and an Asian, plus one pig monster. So really, to have them in that set, I think sends the messaging across, okay, on what Rulers of the Sun is actually supposed to be from a marketing standpoint. But to have the characters split up across different Masters of the Universe waves kind of makes it seem a bit confusing, okay, because most people have not really even heard of these guys. So, if you split them up like this, instead of having them as part of one Rulers of the Sun banner, which makes more sense, okay, I think that it'll be easier for consumers to make up their mind. Either they want to go all in, or maybe they just want to select a couple of figures here and there. But if you're sort of like forced to pick up these figures that you have no particular sort of inclination towards, you're forced to pick them up as part of the natural wave of Masters of the Universe figures that you would normally get, I think that's a little bit unfair, okay? It definitely is. Of course, we could be just jumping the gun here because most of this is based on speculation at this point. But I was looking around online for carded images of the original Digitino figure, and surprisingly, it's pretty hard to come by to get a really good quality image of the carded figure. But there is one here from Go Figure Toy, and you know what? I was actually pretty impressed by what I saw here of how the figure was presented originally in 1985 on card. This card here, okay, the packaging for the figure actually has got a lot of stuff going on here, okay. It's really busy, okay. Now, right at the top there, you get the huge Sunman and the Sun People font announcing the toy line, and then you get this whole text paragraph. It's like a whole storyline there, describing what Rulers of the Sun is about. And you have the figure there in the plastic bubble, and it says here that the package comes with a free mini comic book. Okay, that is freaking interesting. Okay, I wonder what these comic books were about. What kind of stories were in there? Were they of the same quality as the Masters of the Universe mini comics? They also say here that there's a fan club. All right, there's details inside for a fan club, and it says that Digitino, right at the bottom here, it says that it comes with a glow-in-the-dark shield. Okay, that's pretty impressive. I think there is something that looks like a shield behind the figure. And I just wonder, can we get a glow-in-the-dark shield as well for this particular new Origin style Digitino? Now, I don't know how much these figures cost back in the day, but if they are supposed to be sort of like knockoff style or maybe just homages to He-Man, they probably didn't go at the same price point. They're probably a little bit lower, maybe about half what the price of a He-Man figure would be. And I think that it was a pretty good package. Okay, you're getting a pretty good deal back in the day for figures like these. They came with a lot of stuff, and the packages look bright. And I felt that if they were re-releasing the Rulers of Sun Wave with the exact sort of like retro style packaging that they used to come out with in 1985, and they also included all this stuff, okay, like the mini comic inserts and everything, I think that from a retro collecting standpoint, these would be a whole lot more appealing. Okay guys, I want to know what you guys think of the speculations for the Wave 9 assortment. But for me personally, if this is the final mix of figures that they're putting out, I gotta say that I'm just freaking disappointed because the Wave just looks to me like it's freaking boring. All right, you got one really solid figure there with a Whiplash, and then you've got a variant that looks like a walking soda drink, and two human-like characters. All right, there's really nothing much here, okay, to work with. I'm into MOTU, like I said, for the freaky creature shit. Okay, I want the creatures with the eyes that pop out, the fangs. I want something like with a tongue that sticks out, all the way across the room, stuff like that. Just weird shit. Okay, because you're spending money, all right, on figures that are supposed to be stuff that you want from your childhood. And if you're locked into an assortment that makes you take stuff that you don't want, but you have to take it because there's no other way that you can get the rest of the figures, then I think that this whole situation just freaking sucks. I may have a channel here where I'm doing the reviews and stuff like that, but I'm buying the figures just the same as you guys. Okay, I'm spending cash on the figures, same as you guys, and I'm waiting for these figures, same as you guys. I mean, I'm waiting, anticipating, and if I gotta wait months for a new assortment and the assortment looks like this, I gotta tell you that ain't much for me to look forward to. So hey guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you guys out there. Thanks again for joining me. I do appreciate it every time you guys turn up, and I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content. Take care.